Let's call this meeting in order. Please rise for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. Item 3, any citizen desiring to be heard. Hearing none. Item 4, consideration of possible action on approving minutes of July 15, 2020.
Motion to approve the minutes. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carried. Item 5, consideration and possible action to approve annual financial statement for fiscal year 1920. 19 and 20. Not 19.
All right. There you go, man.
Or
I'm doing great, sir.
Morning, Damon.
I'll follow you up there. Oh, you are. Now. Good morning.
Morning, Damon.
I'll look for kitchen like this.
So what do we got here?
The annual accounting of dollars for fiscal year 1920. The SANI started mandating that happen every July for
Right.
the closing year. Last year was the first year.
I see. So with this kind of a bank balance, can we pave some more roads?
No,
You're always a buzzkill, you know
I
that.
know,
You need to think about it.
if only.
I move
Except
with-
see all those little line items of different funds?
I saw that, thank you. So I move we approve. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, the motion carries. Item 6, consideration of possible action to encumber PO 210416 to Atlas Paving in the amount of $93,710 from CBRI account for District 1 asphalt overlay of Broadway from State Highway 33 to Industrial. I'll move we approve.
Second. Thank you, Mike.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, the motion carries. Item 7, consideration and possible action to approve REAP grant contract in the amount of $55,000 awarded to District 2 for asphalt overlay on Indian Meridian Road.
That's that first mile going south of 105.
First mile south 105. I'd entertain a motion for that.
I'll make the motion to accept. I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
That's that mile that runs down to Meridian to the
Yes.
township, right? Yeah.
Right, well, it goes from 105 down to Industrial. And pretty good base there. It was chip sealed by Commissioner Cruz back
Right.
in 94, I think.
Yeah, just the comment, I did drive out there last year, when we went and looked at some land that the
Right.
county owns out there, and that does kind of look like the dark side of the moon in some spots as far as craters and
Yes, sir.
quick
Yes, sir. My understanding was they were fixing potholes while they were paving it. So, I don't know. I mean, it breaks up
Okay.
a lot of over
But yeah,
traffic.
I
Lot of
guess
over traffic.
my comment is that it does need some work,
Yeah.
so this is well worth the effort.
A lot of old traffic goes down that road, and maybe one of these days they'll help out.
You missed a few on that if you don't
Oh,
sign.
okay.
LLC Corporation for engineering and bid for bridge circle number 192 in District 3. They're gonna do the engineering and help with the bid process on my bridge project. That's gonna fund through the CBRI.
Okay, I move we approve.
I'll second. Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this contract, Mike? Marv?
No, sir.
Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Thank you, guys. Item 9, consideration and possible action to approve detention transportation claims in the amount of $70.90 for June of 2020.
Make a motion to approve.
$70.90 worth.
Uh-huh.
I will second that.
Keep the lights on.
Don't spend it in one spot. Make it last.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Chairman, we have nothing on item 10 and 11.
All righty, thank you. Nothing on 10 and 11. So item 12, consideration and possible action to approve permanent road crossing permits, Logan County Rural Water. I believe that's in your district.
Yeah, it looks like it is. Well, they need water, so I move we approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, the motion carries. Item 13, consideration and possible action on consent agenda items.
That's payroll.
The cheap payroll.
So when they do these lines, do they go like under the road? Are they allowed to go under the road?
Have to.
For it.
But they can't cut the road, they have to drill under.
Drill under, yeah.
Unless they have a water leak and then they cut the road without
What?
talking to you, but that's a different deal.
Yeah, they're not supposed to cut the road.
But they only do that to new roads you just paved.
Oh, sure, yeah. So, excuse my ignorance, so can water lines go certain high and then like other lines, utility lines go below that, or is there a?
A hierarchy for
Yes,
lines.
right. So that the water company knows not to go by OG&E and
So I think the Corporation Commission has priority over local, but I don't know that for a fact. But if you ask the Corporation Commission, that's probably their hierarchy. Yeah.
Our permits say that they have to be within 4 foot of the fence and 3 to 4 foot lower than the lowest line of the road.
okay, your report lowers.
And then utility companies like OG&E, they have their own requirements, which exceed ours, right? So anytime they bury a line, an electric line under our road, it's down quite a bit further.
Okay, yeah.
They always acquire an extra 15 feet of easement beyond our easement, and that way they can keep it clear of trees and whatnot,
Yeah.
whatever they want to. And that way too, they put their lines right there on our easement, or maybe just a little bit off, but still. That allows them to be able to maintain them.
But an order of stack, I think is what you were talking about.
Right.
I don't think there's,
And up through the.
Like gas company, you can't get within the X amount of feet of their right of ways.
Mm.
they like to be on site when you start digging within a certain footage of a high pressure gas line.
Yeah.
Like they don't trust us or something.
What's that?
So that it's like they don't trust us or
Oh,
something.
okay, yeah,
But they don't trust anybody, so that's
right.
what we did. Poke a hole in the gas pipe.
You use that same language, for your safety and our safety. It's kind of like the sheriff. For your safety and our safety.
So it's the same but different.
Very much so, yeah.
Okay. Troy, I got a off-topic question, something that I'm sure that you would know. Has to do with the retirement system for county employees. We're under the state. So if an employee that currently works for a state agency came to work for the county, would their retirement continue and roll over and, okay. Mhm.
Where you get to ask that question? You would just automatically assume, but you can't assume on stuff like that.
Oh, no, it's,
Yeah.
yeah, anytime something makes sense,
Right.
it's probably not gonna work that way. Especially when the government's involved.
Blankets. Well, if you don't mind, while y'all are signing, I'm gonna give you a little update. I brought, if you don't mind, DEQ called yesterday. And, you know, they did a walk through the building with the contractor for the asbestos abatement. So I asked him to type it into an email for me to give you all an update. So they are going to, on the first floor, says there's asbestos in the floor tile along with the mastic, so they'll be removing all of the tile and mastic on the first floor. Floors 2 through 6 have asbestos in the tile, but not the basket. He said that the tile is basically the entire floor, so they'll remove it. And he told me on the phone that typically on floors 2 through 6, when the tile has asbestos, but the mastic doesn't, when they go to pop it after it's this old, the mastic will probably come with it anyway. So. And then he says there's 2 locations for asbestos containing pipe wrap adjacent to bathrooms that run vertical through floors 1 through 6 that will be removed and then replaced. The estimate from the contractor on this is $173,000 that DEQ is picking the entire bill up for, so it came in lower than I think was anticipated. They are not doing anything about the paint. That would be handled at the point we go into renovation, will be on us. The
Is there any lead in that thing? Does that have to be abated?
I don't think so, because they're not doing it, but there is lead in the paint. But I asked him specifically if they were doing anything about the paint, and he said no.
So, just a point of clarification with them, if it's lead-based paint, normally that has to be abated. So, if they're waiting till we do renovation,
Marvin, I
it's
think
on us. I mean,
when I asked him about it, this program that we qualified for them to pay 100% is only going to deal with asbestos. Is the reason they're not touching the paint.
I see.
Do they have a program?
I don't know. The one thing that he brought up, and Sheriff, this is where we're going to need a lot of help. For them to get in and do this, we can't empty the building. We have no place to put all the stuff. And he's more concerned with the first floor. So he asked when they get it all scheduled that we would shove everything from half to the other side, let them work, and then we'll have to move everything. So there'll be a process that'll be a whole lot of hands necessary to shuffle along so they can do their job. He doesn't have an actual start date yet. We don't have any paperwork saying that they're paying this bill, and I've been kind of pushing on that. Well, legal counsel for DEQ has taken and are reworking all their documents, and they have not provided him with an updated agreement. He'll get it to us as soon as possible. But anyway, I just got all that information yesterday.
Thank you very much. So it sounds like there still might be a price tag to abate the paint.
And I think we can talk to him and what that would take, but yeah, this program is only going to deal with asbestos.
Maybe handle that with renovation. Dollars.
Would the tile or the paint be the higher part as far as fixing, repairing, taking out?
I think because of the disposal issues with asbestos, it's probably the most critical, and let the pros handle that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently you can have 5-year-olds chip paint off of it.
Yeah. Just don't eat them.
Just don't eat it.
Well, I'm glad we're getting what we're getting.
Progress.
And also, might as well update this too, the heat and air replacement on the first floor of the courthouse will be completed today.
Yeah.
And this included the upgrade to adding venting to the hallway. So we will have heat and air for the first time ever blowing into the first floor hallway.
Us.
That's different.
Only took 113 years.
There you go. That's progress. Miracles of modern technology.
Yeah, that we didn't need.
Hey, Damon, do you mind if I ask you a question about a state question that's popped up on the radar?
Sure.
Has to do with the sentencing, that state question 508. Do you know anything about that?
508 or 805?
805, excuse me, yeah, 805.
A little bit.
A little bit? Anything we?
Well, basically the thing that they're trying to say is you can't use, is there's no sentence enhancements.
Right.
So no previous crimes can be considered when sentencing.
For a certain type of crime, just,
In general.
man,
I thought I saw non-violent.
Was it
See,
violent?
Non-violent, that's what I think I saw.
I just know that it's
But
like DUIs, anything like that, there's no, if you got 1 or 10, it's gonna be the same. You can't use an enhancement of the previous offense.
so, that's interesting. So, repeat offenders, or just,
Same price.
yeah, same knuckle slap and you're out in 5 days?
Correct.
That probably just applies to nonviolent protest, right?
I would have to read it in its detail.
I didn't mean to get you there.
The election board.
I can say that, he can't.
On the signs.
Mostly nonviolent.
And
Mostly
alcoholic
nonviolent.
beverage tax.
I can say that.
Thanks, Devin.
Just remind me, right?
That's great. That CNN shot of that building burning and that guy standing there, mostly nonviolent
Oh, yeah.
protest.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
You see that video montage they put at the bar hearing?
oh yeah,
It was pretty good.
yeah, I did.
Yeah, I've come to learn that depending on where you live in America, the definitions of things are different.
Yes.
The meaning is not the same everywhere.
So, mostly nonviolent, mostly not with child. I mean, it's, yeah.
I guess that would let a lot of people out if it passed.
Yeah, I believe it's considered retro, isn't it?
Okay.
I think there's an even balance between incarceration and crime rate. And I think that it's not good to be the number one for incarceration. It's also not good to be number one in crime.
Correct.
We need to just state a question to get people to the polls. That's what this is about.
So, the presidential election's not gonna
That's
be
what I
good.
was gonna say.
How come we got 2 on?
Because it's last month and this month. People that might be of a specific voting persuasion, that maybe would have stayed home
You want to look at them? Just
and
one
not
signature.
voted,
Oh,
that will for a state question.
Election board.
Mhm. So is it,
With
when
silent
is that
majority?
805 going to be in there on the
It's, everything's
25th
agenda driven.
or on
Everything's what?
November 3rd?
That'll conclude
Everything's
consent.
agenda driven.
I'll let
Oh.
Mark get through it.
I guess I need to ask.
I'm sure for November.
I I think they were already going to turn out for employment. Probably be a suit.
Well, sheriff sure got a lot of these yellow sheets here.
Yeah.
They're 24/7.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'll be through this in just a minute, Ron.
I'm no hurry on my behalf. Done? Oh, there it is, done. I have to hurry, I'm a wanted guy. Got people gunning for me.
I've heard that rumor. Alcohol tax. We have some.
Still not quite to 20 yet.
$19,242.11.
That's a lot of booze.
And I would point out, that's not county money. That's all city and town money.
We just look at it.
We just look at it.
So it comes through trigger to get there.
Yep.
Yes. I move we approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the consent agenda items? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, the motion carries.
Claims.
Item 14, consideration and possible action on approving claims for payment for July 2020.
Damon, is there any, going back to what you'd mentioned, is there any area that Oklahoma or even Logan County is leading in as far as crime is concerned, anything like that? It's not good to be number one in incarceration.
I'd say we're definitely not number one. There's a few states out there that kind of beat everybody.
Right.
As far as a county goes, we're far from number one.
Yeah, that's what, I thought we were kind of low on that end. I think that the only thing that came to my mind when that was mentioned was number one in female incarceration, and I think Oklahoma does a lot of that.
Yeah, like the numbers, like in our jail, we typically have right now.
I was at the state level, is what I was talking about.
Yeah, in UOC.
Yeah. And I think that is mostly from ladies passing paper to support their boyfriend's drug habits. I mean, that's what I've been told in the past.
There's a little bit of that.
Yeah, a lot of that. Troy, how's things going with the fire departments these days?
Better.
Good.
I just beat them into submission.
Indeed.
You know, strong arm.
Usually just takes once. Not speaking.
Oh, no, of course not.
You would never have been on that end of the Tamarack switch, would you? Yeah.
No comment.
I think we'll figure it out one of these days, maybe.
Not sure I'll live that long, but okay.
Yeah. We have goals.
Goals are good.
Yep.
Real quick question, I just saw the ACO, one of the bills from the rack, for my truck. Have we got the titles to ACO for them to,
No, I did get the checks. That's on my list, on my check mark list.
so we got the money, but
We have, the money was all deposited yesterday. All 4 of the pieces to that, actually.
cool.
It's a pretty quick turnaround. When did that accident occur?
Early July, I think.
Maybe 27.
Was it
Man,
Time flies.
2 months?
early June?
So 2 months? That's not too bad.
ACO moves really quickly.
I didn't know that.
mean, I cannot, we saw last year with the floods and the damage at the fairgrounds and the storm damage at Marlin's shop. I mean, they were on it.
Ooh, this one's one of my favorite shops. One of my favorite stores in Oakland City. Cops Products. Great place to shop.
I'd entertain a motion on
So moved.
claims. I've got a motion
Second.
and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, the motion carries. Item 15, consideration and possible action on approving purchase card payments for July 2020.
You don't have a badge, you go into Cops Products?
Sir?
You don't have a badge to go in?
No. That is a nice little firearm shop run by a retired police officer.
Gotcha.
Or retired law enforcement officer, I'll leave it at that.
That's the
And,
name of it, gotcha.
Yeah, COPS, it's all abbreviation, I don't know what that stands for, but
Gotcha.
you can use your imagination. They sell class 3 items as well.
Hey, on this purchase card deal, I just got a question. We have a balance, or I guess our limit's 20,000.
The current credit limit right now is 20,000 and,
So I guess what I wanted to throw up to the board, that something to think about is, I was seeing some stuff on Purple Wave Auction I was kind of wanting to bid on, but they require that you make payments within 2 days after the bid closes. So I was wondering if we couldn't do that through the P card, but we'd have to up the limit on the P card, because any given time we got 3,000 or 4,000 out on the card.
So I've actually talked to those folks, because we sold that Volvo Road Grader on Purple Wave back last year or so, and maybe 2 years ago. Was it May or June? No, but if you talk to the people that are selling the vehicle and tell them that you're gonna bid on it, you're from a county government, and here's how we write checks and we accept a purchase order kind of deal. And normally if they wanna sell it, they'll do that. But a P card would also be handy to do that if we could up the limit for a specific purchase like that, if there was a way we could do that maybe.
Well, when we first got it, not knowing it was all new, so I only requested a combined $20,000 credit limit. I don't know what the upper possibility is. That just seemed rational as a kick-off point.
I saw a deposit of $14 million earlier today.
So, I don't know the process. I would assume it would come as a board action to apply for a credit increase and the board, to decide how much up that we wanted to go with it.
Well, I guess another question would be, what about the auditor? Would they see this as a conflict, or
What do you mean?
by using the P card on an auction site?
I would like to run it by them just to make sure that auction, purchases at an auction or something that are pretty tightly regulated by the auditor's office. So I'd run it by them and make sure it wasn't going to be a problem. Off the top of my head, I don't see it as one, but.
So, yeah, I mean, auctions, as long as you have a purchase order cut for a maximum amount and you don't exceed that, right?
But you don't have that with the P card, right? So unless we, and a lot of the P card policies, we can write ourselves. I mean, that's what I've done with up to now. So I guess one of the things that we could propose to the auditor's office would be, we would still make them encumber a maximum.
So we could encumber a purchase order to the P card account, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, and maybe satisfy it that way. Yeah, I think that
And the other thing of it
sounds
is.
like it might be in the working on it.
The thing you have to remember, though, is that, and it was policy agreed to, there's only 3 P cards, and only that person can use that card. So we would have to set it up with a PO encumbered to the P card for a maximum amount, and then it would have to run through one of the 3 of us in the purchasing office to finalize the payment.
Who would do the bidding?
Well, you guys would have to, I would assume.
That would obligate the P card, though. You see where I'm going with that?
Right. Again, we're going to talk to the auditors to make sure.
Yes, ma'am, I get you.
Because, it formulates some issues.
Interesting dynamics, yes. I get it. That's a great idea, Monty.
That's just something that we ought to keep around, maybe. So anyway, I'd entertain the motion on payment on P card.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, the motion carries. Item 14, any citizen desiring to be heard? Hearing none. Item 17, comments and or questions by the Board of County Commissioners.
I don't know, I'm in conversation with a guy who could renovate that building. He's done quite a few of them. He's trying to get one from COCA, Community Action Agency. Working on getting a building in downtown Shawnee right now. We'll see whether they're able to obtain that building, number one. He says that the new guidelines are coming out next month on the brownfield grants and such. That would probably be what we would need for the renovation of that. But he does seem to think it's viable, that we might be able to get that renovated on a grant. So.
That'd be great.
Or small as this thing.
Anything else?
No, I'm good.
Marvin, got anything?
Just a couple of items. I attended my first CED5 meeting virtually because we had some issues down there. The area that they have their on-site meeting is actually in Oklahoma City area, so to be masked inside and all that stuff. It was kind of an interesting, there was like 3 folks actually there, and everybody else was there virtually. Anyway, one of the things that came up, Canadian County was approved and brought into CED5, so now there's one more county in there. That raised some of the funds that come with the county that go in there, and so they're redoing the finances. Once that's done, I'll get a report to the board on what's going on with that. One of the things that came up that I thought was interesting was they said that the county road standards are being revamped by ODOT and ACO. And in the follow-on comment that I'm going to make here in a minute about ODOT local government, we were told to contact OCCEDB if we want to have input into the county road standards, and I'm going to do that and see where that goes. However, getting off of the CED5, that's about all that was there that caught my attention, was that county road standards issue at this time. And then I sent an email to Shelley Williams, actually two, and copied Troy on them. We had asked ODOT local government to attend our board meeting previous, and no one was able to show up, and they wrote an email, right before our meeting and said they couldn't be here. Well, I've written two emails since then because our board asked that they come, and we would, if we needed to, we would put a special meeting together to meet with them to talk about our CERD program and that sort of stuff, and especially Coltrane Road, and I know, Mike, you want to talk about, maybe Luther Road or something, some other things going on over in your area. They couldn't attend, and I got an email late yesterday afternoon saying that they couldn't attend, sorry again, and it was a long email about different things. Anyway, they said that they could put a meeting together between August 4th and 14th. We actually meet on the 14th, so what I'm going to do is reply back to her and ask her to plan on meeting with our board on the 14th to discuss this. She wants to have our engineer for Coltrane Road to talk to them because they're unaware of any re-engineering discussions, and one of the things that I really want to do is get everybody in the room at one time, and let's talk about this, and because there's a lot of stuff that goes back and forth in emails. Well, you did this, you didn't do this, you didn't, I call it getting all the players in one room. Actually, I called it something different, but I'm trying to be nice now. So I'm going to ask them to be here on the 14th, and we'll put that on the agenda. And if not, I will try and schedule a special meeting between the 4th of August and the 14th of August, because that was the date range that she gave me that they could meet with us. I think she wants me to go up to ODOT and meet, but I would rather them come down here and talk with us as a board, because we're the ones that make the decisions on that kind of stuff. And if we're all talking together in a public meeting, and I think that our public deserves to know what's going on. We shouldn't be going up to ODOT and having meetings behind closed doors, and and then coming out and people dispute what was said or what might not have been said. I think it's best that we have these discussions in public, at public meetings.
I agree.
So, one of the things on the county road standards that she told me in this long email response back, because I asked about the county road standards being redesigned, and she said that the county commissioners had input back on that through ACO, And that input was provided back in 2013, and that's what they're going off of, and they're moving forward, and they're, you know, I have I kind of an issue with it. I wasn't even a county commissioner in 2013. So, you know, now I've got to live with something that somebody talked about a long time before I was even here, you know, and that absolutely makes no sense to me. So that would be something else I think that we would want to put on a side note on our agenda if ODOT's here to kind of chat with them about that. Also have invited Senator Hall to attend when we get ODOT to come here, because I think that would benefit everyone, again, at a public meeting that we can all kind of discuss what's going on. And lastly, to go back to Senator Hall, ACO published the interim study listing of interim studies that's going to go on at the State House. Chuck's interim study on SERP is on the top of the list, and there are several of them there. Kevin West over in Canadian County's got an interim study going on county road and bridge funding, or actually county government. Who do the county commissioners work for? You know, what's the hierarchy there? And I think that might be aimed at some of the issues that we've seen between legislative language, like on the ODOT SERB. You know, who's responsible for county roads and bridges? Is it the county commissioners or is it somebody else, right? Well, I know what we believe for the most part. We believe the county commissioners are responsible because we're the ones elected by the people to do that, right? And that's what the statute also says. But those interim studies are going to start probably in August. And one of the things I wanted to ask the board is, since I'm on with CD5 and Senator Hall asked us to also kind of coordinate with ACO and the CEDs on what our goals are there, he wanted one of us to attend the interim study. I've kind of helped with the agenda on that, and I would be happy to represent our board on that if the board so desired. He asked us to designate someone to do that. So
I don't have a problem.
Sure.
But you know, you was talking about the road standards set up in 2013. Well, road funding was set up in 1976. Hasn't been set since.
that's a great point.
Yeah.
1976.
And I know the argument back there by the previous commissioner, and it was exactly the same argument you're making. So
Which one's that one?
on that first mile of Coltrane, again, 2-lane.
Over-engineered? Having an over-engineered
Right,
demand.
and
Yeah.
it was vociferously pursued, and it was absolutely knocked down. The exception was the 3-lane with curb and gutters, and so that's.
You're gonna make me
that's
get my
what-
thesaurus out and look that word up you used.
I'm sorry?
For what? What kind of pursuit? I'm just,
It was pursued diligent.
oh, okay, I get it. I understand that word.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Prolifically, yeah.
that one got me.
I got it.
So yes, and the interesting thing with the email that I got back from ODOT was that they seem to think that we're recommending a 3-lane flat road over a 2-lane curb and gutter, and that's not exact. That is exactly the opposite of what they're asked to be engineered. So again, I'd like to get everybody all in the room so we can talk about this and get through some of these misunderstandings from each other, because as you pointed out, this thing started back in 2012.
Yes, sir.
Or 2011, 2012, when the money started accumulating for SERB in 2008, right? That's when that legislation was passed. There wasn't enough money in the pool. They wanted to let it accumulate for a couple of years. And so around 2010, 2011 is when things started getting on the west, and this mile of road's been there ever since then. And it's.
That was the first one?
We need to get it fixed. We really need to get it fixed. Anyway, that's all I have, sir. I'll go get on my soapbox on that.
Item 18, consideration of possible action on adjournment.
Make the motion.
So second.
Motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.